What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all about how to get them trimmers of yours hitting like monsters. Today we'll be diving into the best ways to zero gap your trimmers so that you can achieve that precision cut that you've always wanted. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into this video. So some of you watching today may be wondering, what the heck is zero gapping your trimmer? Well, basically, whenever you have a trimmer, you have a stationary blade or a non-moving blade, right? And then you have the moving blade. And usually whenever you get them out of the box, they're set something like this, where the stationary blade is a lot higher than the moving blade. And because of this little gap between the two, it doesn't give you that hit like you want to, or like a lot of barbers want. And the reason they do that, though, is because they don't want you cutting anyone. And now whenever we're talking about zero gapping is simply moving that blade. Now a true zero gap is where there is no gap at all. They are perfectly even. The only problem with this is a lot of barbers are heavy-handed, and if this moving blade is moving at the same height as the stationary blade, you'll probably cut someone or at least irritate the skin. So a lot of people want to pull that down just a little bit, so that way it's zero gapped as far as it needs to be, so that you don't cut anyone. And there again, some people like myself like them things flush because I'm very light-handed. But sometimes I still need to pull it back just a little bit. And today I'm going to show you basically how I zero gap my trimmers to get, the maximum impact. And I'll show you how to actually do it here in a second. But first I want to show you some of the tools that I've used over the years. First of all, magnifying eyeglasses. All right, now these don't look too cool, I'm gonna tell you right now. And looking into the camera, it's really blurry. But these things are great for setting your trimmers really close and making sure everything is nice and even. And so a lot of times if I'm at the shop and say some of the guys say, hey Shannon, can you zero gap my trimmers for me, and I have a little bit of time, I'll go out to my car and I'll get these magnifying glasses that I got from, I believe, Walgreens or CVS or something. Man, you can get them for a couple bucks. And these right here are probably like plus 1.50 or something magnification. But you just look and you see the magnification that you want. The higher probably the magnification, the better you can see, or the close up you can see. So anyways, but I get me some magnifying glasses and I put them on, and man, under the right lighting, you can see perfectly to zero gap those trimmers. So this is the first tool that I'll use. But now if I'm at my house, there's another tool that I like to use that I'm actually gonna dive into today, and that is the digital microscope. Right now, there's this, thing going around where you can get your, say, Coco trimmers with your digital gap blade. And I love Coco trimmers. I'm not even gonna lie. I really am impressed by how well they hit. But part of the reason I can get my trimmers to hit just as hard is because I have a digital microscope myself, and I can get my blades lined up and get them sharp and crispy and all that good stuff. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. And if you'll wait around to the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to do something just to give them that little extra, that little extra pop that, man, every time you hit, you're going to get them crispy white lines. And it's just going to hit sharp, man. It's going to hit sharp. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the digital microscope, and I'm going to show you what I do with that. All right, so as you can see, I've already been busy today zero gapping a lot of my trimmers. Matter of fact, Nate actually had a couple that he wanted me to zero gap as well, or digital gap, let's say. So this is a digital microscope. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so you can see. Now you see that it has lights here. Let me turn on these other lights. This digital microscope actually costs, I believe, $55.99, and you can get this on Amazon. I'm going to leave the links for everything in the description below. But yeah, for cheaper than the price that you can actually get a digital gapped blade, you can actually get a digital microscope where you can digitally gap your own blade if you wanted to. Now, you know, it does take some time and some practice to get it right or to get it set how you want it to. So you can skip all of this work yourself and just go ahead and buy a blade that's already been zero gapped or digitally gapped, and that's perfectly fine. But I'm just showing you how I do it to get my blades to hit really sharp. All right, so as you can see, I have the Babyliss Gold FX OG Gangsta blade right here. It also has a cutting blade on the inside. I may have changed this cutting blade out. It may have been gold and I put a black one on there. I just can't remember. However, if you want to zero gap most blades, then you'll have screws on the inside of the blade and you'll loosen the screws and then you can slide the blade up or down. Some blades do not have screws to slide the blade up and down. They are set blades. Those blades cannot be zero gap. So, but most blades that have the screws or some kind of screws on the inside, you can just loosen the screws, slide up and down the blade, get it set the way you want, and tighten it back down. So let's go ahead and jump into that. All right, so now that we have the screws loose, we can go ahead and move that blade up and down. However, there again, to get the precision that I want to get, I'm going to use the digital microscope. So I'll go ahead and just put the blade down and I'll show you what I see on the screen. All right, so now that we have the blade underneath the digital microscope, as you can see, it needs to be gapped and I have the blade loose. So what I like to do is come in, and as you can see, if I just barely push up on this blade, I can get it where I want it to be. Now, the problem is a lot of times whenever you move one side of the blade, it will also move the other side of the blade. So what I like to do is just come in. I like to tighten it down just a little bit. I mean, not tight at all, but just not where it's so loose, where it takes a little bit of pressure to push, but it's not going to be sliding back and forth. So I'll go to one side of the blade and I'll say, okay, that's set a little bit too high. Pull it down. And as you can see on the very tip of the gold blade, there's like a little line. I like to have that just under the line. And then I'll come in and I'll tighten that side up a little more. Let me double check it. All right, not bad. And the reason I'm not zero gapping it as far as completely flush right now is because when you put it under a digital microscope and you get that thing right on the money, in reality, you're too far over with the moving blade and you probably will cut somebody. So when I'm using the digital microscope, I like to be right underneath it. All right, so I'm right underneath the black tip on the gold blade. And I'll just start tightening down a little bit more on each side, going back and checking. I could go a little closer, but it takes time to sit there and just keep working at it. I don't want it to be completely flush under the microscope. However, I do want it to be a little bit under. So like I said, right now it's a little bit farther back than I like. I like to go up just a little bit more, but you can see the process and how it works, and you can set it to your liking, and you can set it with precision. All right, so I told you if you waited to the end of the video, I'd give you something special. And, you know, I showed you basically how I zero gap with my glasses on, basically the same thing that I did with the digital gap. I just used the glasses to look. However, with the digital gap, as you saw, man, you can see really close and you can get that thing adjusted nice. But before you adjust it, if you really want to give it, man, that extra pop to get crispy lineups, and let me just say this is for lineups only, or that's what I recommend. If you do this on a trimmer that you plan on going up against the grain with, like up under the neck, on the side of the head, you're going to be pulling people's pores and everything else because it just gets that sharp. However, if you want to have a pair of trimmers that are hitting nice, they can go up, down, do all that, man, digital gap them, zero gap them like I was showing you. But if you want a crispy, hard hitting pair of trimmers just for the lineup, then I would suggest that you get you one of these. This is the Rich Barber 1 minute blade modifier. And what you do is, before you adjust your blade, once you take the screws out, you take the blade off. Then you take the main blade, the stationary blade, the non-moving blade, and you'll see on this, it'll say blade brand logo facing this way. And you'll want to make sure that the outside of that blade is facing that direction. And now you'll lay this thing on a flat surface, drop you a little bit of oil in there, and you'll make sure that blade brand logo is facing the direction it's telling you to face. And then you go back and forth in that little groove for about a minute. And man, it'll get that edge so pointy and sharp. And whenever you do that with the digital microscope, gap, man, it's a game changer. These things will smack so hard, you will be blown away. I'm telling you. So that's how I digital gap, zero gap, and modify my blades so them things hit like monsters. Crazy, all right? So if you like this video and you want some more videos like it, man, leave a comment below. Give me some thumbs up, all that good stuff. And maybe you have something that you want me to share with you, or things that I do. Just throw that in the comment. Give me some ideas for the channel. I'm here to help you guys out all that I can. And until next time, man, God bless you guys. Peace. I'm out of here.